Hey guys, this is XP and I'm back with another Starcraft II HerO Swarm 1v1. This time it's going to be between Madbull spawning in the top left side, and down in the bottom left side it is going to be Liquid's HerO. Now the map is going to be Whirlwind LE, which does have a pretty easy secure natural. You can wall that off pretty quickly if you need to. It also has decently easy secured third and fourth bases for just about any race. But this matchup is going to be Protoss vs Protoss, which I think is a much more interesting matchup now than it used to be because of the changes that were made to it. In the past, pretty much what you would see with Protoss vs Protoss is that both players would just try and go for a bunch of Colossus, and it's pretty much called the World Worlds matchup because, well, the Colossus look a lot like the tripods from World Worlds, and whoever would get the most would generally end up winning if he could keep his Colossus alive and get favorable engagements. However, with the changes made by Heart of the Swarm, that is no longer the case, because Protoss players now have a bunch of options for dealing with that. They now have the Tempests, which do pretty much an insane amount of damage to Colossus because they are classified as massive air units. You have the Mothership Core, which allows for some easier early game attacks, such as it really couldn't be done too well on this map because of the small area, though I think no, that could be done anyways. You could on some maps, especially ones like Star Station, you could easily blink. You use Mothership Core to spot the high ground, spot up one of these cliffs, and just blink all your stalkers up into the base really easily, and that can make this for some pretty sick timing attacks if the players want to do that. It does look like both of our players are going to be going pretty standard, both getting their Cyber Core. Madbull is actually throwing down double gas. Double gas. Ah! Here it is. He's actually doing the gas steal in the main base of Liquid HerO. He's going to let that finish, which is a little bit surprising. He's actually going to be using that probe just to steal a little bit of this gas, which really isn't going to be doing all that much damage to HerO in the long run. But this has got to be really annoying for HerO when he wants to go for the second gas, but there's already an enemy assimilated there. So we do have Madbull going to be going for, actually that's HerO, pardon me, going to be going for the Mothership Core. Like I said, this is one of the new units that was added for Protoss in Heart of the Swarm. It has photon overcharge ability, which basically turns the Nexus into a planetary fortress. It has mass recall, which can be used to help the Protoss armies move around a lot faster, which is, mobility is definitely something Protoss has been lacking in the past. And it has this time warp ability, which makes all units inside pretty much operate a lot more slowly. But we do see HerO going to be going for an expansion after Gateway and Cyber, which I guess is fairly standard. And Madbull is going to be going for the same thing. So pretty much standard so far. He's going to be pushing out with the two Stalkers, and the Zealot does manage to kill Zealot of Madbull, which Zealots, they're actually really good at absorbing Stalker shots, so it may not seem like one Zealot is that big of a deal, but in the early game like this it can really end up being that big of a deal. Anyway, HerO is going to be working on focusing down these bricks. Some of these are called bricks, some of these are called unkillable plates, some of them are just even called plates. So you never know what they're called. But they are the thing on Blizzard maps which sits at the bottom of your main base's ramp. and looks awesome. Anyways, there is going to be an Oracle on the way for Madbull, which this is another one of the new units in Heart of the Swarm. It has, well, the thing about the Oracle is it's really good for harassment. It can kill a worker in 2 ticks of its pulsar beam, but it's also extremely squishy. See, it only has 60 HP, 60 shields, pardon me, and 100 HP. So it is going to be sniped off really quickly by, say, the sentries, and the stalker are going to be able to take care of that pretty easily. However, if it can get into one of these mineral lines, if it can get like back here, it's going to be able to do pretty much as much damage as it wants to these probes, as long as it has energy. Another thing about the Oracle is that while its spells, while its pulsar beam is really good, its other 2 spells only have limited usefulness. Admittedly, it can become a detector for a short amount of time, which gives Protoss that early game protection that they need. But it also has 2 map revealing spells, which is not the most useful thing ever. Anyway, Madbull is actually going to be moving for a lot of Phoenix, which Phoenix is something you don't really see overly much against other Protoss, simply because, well, I'm not actually sure why you don't see them, but it's just a unit that isn't really used that much. I'm gonna have to look at that. Maybe Phoenix are underused, actually. Anyway, the HerO is going to be pushing up. Time Warp has been used on this ramp, or at the top of the ramp, to ensure that nothing, and to swing that engagement in his favor. Phoenix needs to be really careful not to run into this ball of units. HerO does have an Immortal, which is going to be able to take care of these Stalkers pretty easily, because Immortals do a ridiculous amount of damage versus armored units. They do 150% extra damage to armored, which, considering the base damage at 0-0, is 20. That is a bit absurd. But Madbull does have a Void Ray, which does even more absurd damage versus armored, seeing as it has a weapon speed of 0.5 and damage of 10 when you activate Prismatic Alignment. Wait a minute. No, it actually has damage at 16 when you activate Prismatic Alignment. So that just proves that I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, Void Ray is going to be taken out here. Madbull is in a bit of a predicament. He's not got much left. He's honestly going to have to really work at this to finish it off. If he gets enough energy, he could force field on the ramp. Killing the mothership core here would actually be a big victory for him. He needs to not engage inside the Time Warp, because that is just going to allow HerO's army to completely destroy his zealots. However, if he could get this Immortal, and it does look like he will be able to get Immortal, that could be able to allow him to turn the tide of this battle. But really, looking at the units lost tab, HerO is way far ahead, and I don't think that there's going to be anything that Madbull can do, and indeed there's going to be the good game. Madbull is going to leave the game pretty quick for a Protoss versus Protoss. Again, however, I mean, really, you don't see that many super macro Protoss versus Protoss. The thing about it is that it's such a strange matchup in that the first person to expand gets put at a disadvantage, at least temporarily, unless the other person expands at right about the same time, which is what we saw in this game. But I mean, it could really go any way. I mean, mostly you would see like Colossus tech before, But now with the Void Ray and the Tempest both counter Colossus, that's not so much of a threat anymore. Void Rays are really good in Protoss vs. Protoss, simply because they can kill the Stalkers, they can kill the Immortals. Let's see, they can kill the Mothership Core, because that is also armored. They're not really the best against Phoenix, as Phoenix are light. But a lot of the main bulk of normal Protoss armies is going to be armored units, so these Void Rays are actually going to be really good versus a lot that Protoss can throw out. But that was that. That was a fairly quick victory for HerO, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more StarCraft II coming up soon.